So it's September 10th. We're in Moultrie, Georgia at our container facility. I'm joined by Clark Duncan, our nursery manager here. Woke up this morning, it was 66 degrees and it got us feeling like shipping season is right around the corner. So we thought it'd be pretty timely to talk about the crop as it is this time of year, maybe some things that we're doing to progress the crop along, maybe give a little status update of longleaf, one of the species we grow, as well as loblolly. We're going to talk a little bit about seed, a little bit about the tray type that we grow within, and talk about our regime overall as it takes to get to a seedling spec and to a finished product that the client's happy with. So Clark was willing to join me this morning. So Clark, tell us a little bit about maybe where we are right now in the management of the crop, kind of your feeling as to how the crop is at the moment.
Sure. We're kind of in a transition period here at the Moultrie Container Facility. We kind of have three different seasons here in container. We have a sowing season, a growing season, and then a shipping or harvest season coming up. So we're in that transition period, but we're coming right to the end of the growing season. In the next few weeks, all of our seedlings will be ready to go, and we'll kick off our shipping season, which typically starts about the 1st of October and run us all the way till about the 1st of April.
Clark mentioned the growing season, so we really get started on the sales side, December, January, making a lot of our phone calls, trying to gather information from clients, and we pass that on to Mike and to Ken, our operations managers, and then we begin to stratify seed. So the growing season for you starts when?
Growing season it follows right after sowing season. It takes us two months to sow the crop, March and April.
Yep.
And then from basically then on until October, we're actively growing the crop to get it to the place that we want to be for shipping, to meet the specifications that we want to be at that time.
That's really important for us. So we've got seedling specifications that we try to achieve, root collar diameter, we've got root volume that we're trying to establish, we've got top height that's important, shoot height, we want a good bud set on the seedling. So all of those things have to be planned out well in advance to get to a shippable seedling.
Sure.
In our container facility, Clark, when would you have trees generally ready for shipping?
Generally ready, we try to shoot for everything, even though they may be sown at different times, a month or two apart. We kind of push each thing to get ready to have the whole entire crop ready by the 1st of October.
Yeah. How many seedlings do you think you might ship in October?
We'll typically start out about a million or so in October. We kind of ramp up toward the holidays. Typically November after Thanksgiving is kind of our big jumping point and when we really get into things. Then it continues on until Christmas, New Year's. But I'd say we ship probably a third of our crop before the first of the year and about 2/3 of the crop after the first of the year.
Gotcha. We were talking about sowing, if you will. I think, Clark, you've got some seed here that you wanted to show us.
Sure.
That can kind of show what the seed looks like. And depending on the species, the seed size is different. The stratification period is different. The way that Clark and his team have to sow is different. So I think we're looking at some loblolly seed here today.
Sure. We've got a little bit of loblolly seed here, and we'll show in a moment. And basically in 6 short months, we've gone from this product to almost a finished product of a seedling to get out the door.
As we're thinking about growing our crop,
Sure.
Clark, and thinking about different things we do within the nursery, what's kind of unique to IFCO in the way that we grow our crop?
Yeah, so you can see behind me after sowing, after we get the seed into the tray, everything's moved outside. Right behind us here is a center pivot irrigation. We're on pivot number 9 of 15 here at the Moultrie facility. All the trays are brought out here and put into these center pivots, and they're grown out. They'll germinate here, grow all season until we get the harvest period. All of our fertilizer applications are done here. The pivot allows very uniform water application. We get really good dry downs with the bench system, good airflow to come through and help with our root pruning and things like that.
And you might hear equipment in the background. I mean, this is an active nursery, so we're top pruning, we're irrigating, we're doing all sorts of management practices today. So just kind of stick with us in some of that. But so outside of maybe just growing under a center pivot, is there anything else that you might want to highlight? Maybe tray types that we use, or anything that's kind of from a timing perspective that's really important to get the crop where it is today?
Yeah, sure. So here at this facility, we're growing long leaf and loblolly and slash and short leaf. And we have a few different types of trays that we're using. The main one we call our 128 tray. We have a few different lengths and sizes. We have a 6-inch plug, 4 3/4 inch plug, and a 3 1/2 inch plug. And different applications can be applied to different trays depending on what species or maybe where it's going. All of our longleafs are grown in that 6-inch deep plug magnum tray, and the majority of our loblolly is grown in the 4 3/4-inch tray, as well as a slash. Some of our shortleaf is better suited for the 3.5-inch plug.
Yeah, and I think some of that, when we have different depths within the tray, it's really targeting for outplanting. So if we've got really sandy sites on longleaf, we know we need to get a nice taproot establishment after outplanting. A 6-inch plug allows us to really produce that, especially since the bud's going to be above ground at planting. And then we've got our 4 3/4, our IFCO 128, which is our main tray that we grow within. It produces the best root system in the market. That's been tested and shown to be the case. But sometimes with shortleaf and even some Piedmont species where we've got maybe clay soils and heavy soils, you actually want a smaller root system or a smaller plug that'll let the tree planter get that seedling fully into the ground.
Right.
So if we were to ship a 6-inch Piedmont root system, that would not be very easy for maybe a tree planting contractor, say in North Carolina or so, to get that seedling planted well. So we were talking about the different tray types that we grow within for different species. So we actually have 2 different species here, longleaf and loblolly. And Clark, we talked about kind of where we are in the progression.
Yeah, so these are, we're getting really close to our final product. So in 6 short months, we've pretty much gone from that seed you saw earlier to these final products here. This is a loblolly pine and a longleaf pine. Longleaf in the 6-inch plug. This loblolly here is in the 4 3/4-inch plug. And these are very close to meeting our spec for shipping season. They're around 12 inches, 10 to 12 inches tall. And so we're almost there. They've got fully grown root systems, and we're almost at the root collar diameter that we're looking for. So these will be ready very shortly.
Clark, when you're talking about the root system, what can you show, or what are you looking for within a root system right now in a container seedling that's important?
So right before planting, we're looking for a good solid root structure that'll hold together once it's extracted and put in the box. There's no give, there's no falling out dirt. We're looking for a lot of white root tips, a lot of fibrous root systems, no wrapping around. We've got a lot of lateral straight down to the bottom of the root systems. But overall, just a nice tight root plug that's not going to fall apart.
So what if I got a seedling from you guys, or from us rather, and I notice there's just white stuff all over the plug?
Sure.
Is that good?
Yes, absolutely. So sometimes there's what we call a mycorrhiza fungus or fungi, and that's actually a beneficial fungus to the plant, and it allows nutrient uptake by the roots. So sometimes there'll be white blotches all along the roots at different times of the year. Some species may have more, some pivots may have more, but it's a very beneficial thing. We have calls all the time saying, hey, what is this white stuff on the roots? But we always explain that's a very good thing to have. Please don't throw it. It's not white mold or anything like that would spoil the tree.
When we go out on maybe survival checks with clients or whatever it might be, just a site visit, if we dig seedlings up, on our side, we're actually looking for some of that beneficial fungi. We're looking for new white root tip development. We're looking for the mycorrhizal development. And oftentimes the most beautiful tree that you'll see on a planted stand in a clear cut, when you dig it up, it'll have that white root tip growth. It'll have beneficial fungi, and this because it's able to translocate nutrients and produce and grow like it should, correct, which is beneficial. So, man, we talked about a lot. So we talked about seedling stratification somewhat. We talked about sowing. We talked about the growing regime that we go through with our pivot irrigation and our bench system and our tray types, which is kind of all unique to us. Really an important thing that we do, that you guys do in the nursery, is top pruning. Kind of speak to, Clark, what that is and why that's important.
Yeah, so to get these final products kind of where we want them at the end, we do a routine top pruning or top clipping of our product. We do that several times a year during the summer, about every 2 to 3 weeks apart. And we'll start at about 6 inches and kind of go up from there. And basically what we're doing is trying to get a uniform crop and to get it into that specific range that we're looking for at the end product, whether it's 12 inches or 10 inches, depending on tray type like that. And so we'll basically clip in 1 inch increments through the summer, and depending on how fast they grow, it depends on how many clippings we'll have to do throughout the year. And basically what that clipping allows us to do is get that uniform crop. But it also helps to slow down the top a little bit and focus more growth to the root systems during the summer, because the roots, their main growing period is really early spring and kind of fall. So right now we're getting back into that growing system as the tops are slowing down. We're getting more root development at this time.
So I've got a lot of customers that'll call and they'll ask about top pruning. They're really concerned that they're going to have a tree that's got a lot of forks. What have you seen? What's your experience with multiple top prunings and the overall form of the tree?
Sure. So, and that's why we target specifically about the 6-inch range and starting, because when we top clip, we're really shooting for just the fleshy green growth at the top. And as long as you cut in there, it'll form a new leader, and one of those leaders will become the dominant leader. But if you get into the woody system, that's when it can cause problems and cause forking. So we train our guys to really stay away from that area of the tree. So they make, when we're clipping, we're only clipping those fleshy green tips out.
So I mean, producing a balanced seedling, your shoot to root ratio is critical.
Yes.
So you have to prune. Otherwise, if you didn't prune a seedling in this nursery, Clark, you sow it in March, how tall would that rascal be before you ship it out?
We would probably 18 to 24 inches. I'd say you probably almost have a 2-foot tree, which would be way too tall. It'd be.
We would have a very vegetative seedling, and we've got to get into that fleshy growth. And so, Clark, if I'm not mistaken, when we cut in that fleshy growth, it's going to push a lot of the energy back towards root development.
That's correct.
Yeah. And so it's going to be really important for us, whether it's Clark's nursery, a container facility here in Moultrie, or in our bare root nurseries, that we time our last top pruning to where we get a good bud set.
That's correct. Yeah, we typically in September is kind of our final clipping. We're trying to finish on the crop. We're pulling back fertilizer, and we're trying to slow these things down to get ready for harvest. And we're going to start bringing water back down to kind of drought tolerate these seedlings. But like Ben said, we want to get to a point where that bud's going to set and set up. So we don't want to continually clip these right before they're ready to go out.
So here in Moultrie, we've talked about longleaf, we've talked about loblolly, we've mentioned different species that we grow. Clark, how many seedlings do we grow in this facility?
So here in Moultrie, we're going to produce about 64 million seedlings this year, and that's broken down between longleaf and loblolly and slash, and as well as shortleaf.
Shortleaf, yeah. And so native grasses we grow with some other species that we grow as well.
A small amount. We do some native grasses, yes.
And then we've got other container facilities. So this year, I think we grew 130 million containerized seedlings. I think we're growing somewhere around 160, 165 million berry seedlings. So, you know, right around 300 million seedlings as a company,
right,
with the vast majority of that being loblolly. Clark, thanks for sharing some insights about this container facility here and kind of the unique way that we try to grow and improvements that are made. And I really appreciate your insight. We hope you enjoyed it. We're trying to bring you kind of cutting edge or new information that we think will be valuable to you as you try to establish your plantation or manage your farm. And just like and subscribe, and we welcome any questions you guys have, and we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.